All right, the word slope. Gradient incline pitch is used to describe the measurement of the steepness of a straight line. The higher the slope, the steeper the line. The slope of a line is a rate of change. The building code for using asphalt shingles on roofs states that the minimum pitch must be a rise of 4 inches for every 12 inches of horizontal distance, or run, covered. Asphalt shingles are not to be used on roofs that have very little steepness. Builders check to see if the pitch or slope of the roof meets this before using asphalt shingles. So how do you find slope? There are numerous ways to find slope. We learned yesterday how to find slope given a graph. However, what if you have 2 points on the line and you don't want to construct the graph? Let's investigate how we could find slope without the graph. So yesterday, or actually the past couple days, we've been looking at slope. And we know that the slope is the rise over the run. And on your warm-up, you saw this notation, this triangle next to a y over the triangle next to the x. And you were given a formula. And the formula read y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to put it all together. We're going to look at how we've been finding the slope, and we're going to look at a new way of finding the slope. So the line that we have right here in the graph, what is the ordered pair for this point? -3 and 0. And this, the ordered pair for this point is
0, 6.
All right, so on this particular graph, what is my rise? 6, and my run is 3. So when I look at this picture, I see that my rise is 6 and my run is 3. Can we simplify that? 2 over 1. We could also write it as 2.
What? Oh, just kidding.
So this is how we've been finding slope. There's another way to find the slope, and that's using this formula right here. The formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let me show you where we get the values from. We have an ordered pair here. This -3, does it represent the x value or the y value?
X.
The x. So what we do is we label this x1 because it's the first x value out of the 2 ordered pairs. And this value represents y1 because it's the first y value out of the 2 ordered pairs. So we have another ordered pair over here. This is x2 because it's the second x value out of the ordered pairs, and this will be y2. So when we substitute these values, these 4 values, into this formula, then we get out the slope. So our value for y2 is 6, and we subtract the y1 value, which is 0. Draw the fraction line. Our x2 value is 0, and we subtract -3. We have 2 negatives next to each other, and that gives us
Positive.
So on the top, we have 6 minus 0, which simplifies to 6. And on the bottom, we have 0 plus 3, which is
3.
And that gives us
Or 2 over 1. Or just 2.
Or just 2. So notice, either way that we find slope, we get the same answer. You should get the same answer if you're doing the process correctly. All right, so now we're just going to be given points, and we need to find the slope. Find the slope of the line that goes through the 2 points, 4, 1, and 3, negative 5. So the 4 is our x1 value, the 1 is our y1 value, 3 is the x2 value, and negative 5 is our y2 value. I'm going to write down the formula again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Our y2 value is what? Negative 5. And I subtract the y1 value, which is 1. Draw the fraction line. The x2 value is
3.
minus 4. And now I simplify it. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. 3 minus 4 is. I have a negative over a negative, which gives me
Positive.
and this just gives me 6. Now, going back up to this little triangle is a Greek letter. Marissa, what's a Greek letter? The triangle looks like, represents what Greek letter? Do you remember? Delta. And what delta represents is a change. So this is saying the change in y over the change in x. And that's what we look for, is the change in y over the change in x. John, close it. Put it away. Close it. Thank you. So the formula is telling us to find the change in y over the change in x, which is what we were doing yesterday by looking at the graph. We were looking at the rise, which is the change in y over the change in x. All right, example 2. Find the slope of the line that goes through the 2 points, negative 3 and 2, and 0, negative 10. So here's x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to write down the formula again. So my y2 value is negative 10 minus, draw the fraction line, my x2 value is minus,
Negative 3. Make it positive.
right, I have 2 negatives next to each other, it becomes positive. Now simplify. On the top I have,
Negative 12.
on the bottom I have,
3.
it is negative 4 over 1. Yes. All right, third example. Find the slope of the line that goes through the 2 points, 1, negative 5, and 3, 3. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So what is my y2 value? 3 minus negative 5. What's my x2 value? Minus 1. So what do I have on top?
2 negatives and
Right? So 3 plus 5 gives me over,
2.
which reduces to 4,
Which is 4.
4. Now we can find the slope of a line from a graph and from points. In order to write the equation of a line, we must learn the proper form. So slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. Now you guys are looking at that and probably freaking out because there's a whole bunch of letters in front of you and no numbers whatsoever. But this represents what you've been looking at the past couple of days. Yesterday you looked at y equals negative 3x plus 1 and y equals 1/2 x minus 4. So these have similar forms here. y equals mx plus b. Notice the x, notice the y. This m represents the slope. That's the letter that we use to represent the slope. And the b is the y-intercept. Who remembers what the y-intercept is? Bless you. What does the y-intercept do?
When the line touches the other line, right?
When the line touches the y-axis, to be exact. So we have the y-intercept is where the line crosses or intercepts the y-axis. This is our y-axis right here. And is labeled by the letter B in slope-intercept form. So when we look at this graph, we have a point hitting the x-axis here, and the line hitting a point on the y-axis here. The line is hitting the x-axis at what value? No.
Negative 10.
Negative 10. It's negative 10 right here. And it's hitting the y-axis at what point?
10.
Positive 10. So what is my rise?
10.
It is 10. And what's my run? 10. So my rise over run is the same thing as my slope. And we just found it to be 10 over 10, which reduces to what?
1.
So I just found the slope of this line. What's the value of the y-intercept? Where does it hit the y-axis? At 10. This right here is the y-intercept, which is equal to 10. So, intercept form, y equals mx plus b, I can write the equation for this line. It goes y equals, I fill in my slope for the m, which we just found to be 1, x, I leave the y and the x in the equation, plus my y-intercept, which we just found to be 10. So we just wrote the equation for this line. Crazy. Now, we can write equations without looking at a graph. If we're just given information, we can fill it into the slope-intercept form. So example 1, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form if the slope is 4 and the y-intercept is 2. So using y equals mx plus b, we fill in the values that were given. So y equals, my slope is 4x plus my y-intercept is 2. And there's my equation. Number 2, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form if the slope is negative 2 and the y-intercept is negative 1. Yes. Write the equation of the line that goes through the 2 points, 2, negative 3, and 1, 7, and has a y-intercept of negative 4. So what didn't they give us this time? The slope. Can we find the slope if we have 2 points?
Yeah.
Yes, we just did it on the front. So we have to find the slope first. What is my y2 value? 7. Minus my y1 value is negative 3. Draw your fraction line. 1 minus 2. So what do I have on top?
negatives.
2 negatives.
Plus 2, 10.
Right? And on the bottom?
Over
Okay. And you can simplify that if you want to what?
negative 10.
Alright, so now do I have my slope and y-intercept?
Yeah.
So my equation is y equals plus negative 4. Number 4, write the equation of the line that goes through the points 0, negative 4, and 3, 2, and has a y-intercept of 0. So what do I need to find? Slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 2 minus negative 4 over. So what do I have on top?
2 negatives, so 2 plus 4 is 6.
Over,
3.
which simplifies,
2 over 1.
or
2.
okay. Questions?